Game design and real-life application. Game design is a wide-sweeping term. While the term game design itself doesn't strictly imply video games, even within the video game industry there's a myriad of different meanings and interpretations. A quick Google search reveals that game design programs at colleges or web-based schools are ever growing in popularity. But what does game design even really mean? Games have been around since the dawn of time, so why would it be such a big deal today? Video games are definitely responsible for bringing game design into popular view, but the application in this sort of design is hardly specific to that. In fact, game design can be applied to just about anything. From the workplace to the community, using game design to drive productivity and engagement in a project could be a monumental step forward. First, however, let's take a look at a few general game design concepts as they are applied to video games. Quest is a huge word. Chances are if you play a video game, you'll see the word quest somewhere. Why is this such an important term? Quests, or missions, or whatever the creators of a game choose to call them, are the driving force behind a player's motivation. Quests give a player something specific and practical to do with the game. In the olden days of video games, there's really no need to drive the player to a specific goal. These games are relatively straightforward. You can move a paddle, and you try to keep the ball from moving past it. Even if you don't get it just by looking at it, 30 seconds of hitting buttons and you'll learn pretty much the whole thing. But games today are more complicated. Not only are there just more buttons to hit and more ways to input commands, but the games themselves have advanced 100-fold. While it's certainly bad design to nag the player, it can be very easy to lose track of exactly what's going on and what you should be doing. Quests not only keep the player on task, but can be an integral part of the story itself and really give a sense of knowing what's going on. Quests can sometimes become more of a focus than actually playing the game itself. I'm sure most of you have heard of the infamous World of Warcraft, that game that's consumed millions of people's lives day in and day out. A particularly powerful example of quests taking over can be found in this game. Within World of Warcraft, there's a kind of quest called a daily quest. Like the name implies, it can only be done once a day, and only so many times a week. However, there are special rewards that can only be obtained within that game from these quests. Not only does this force players to come back day after day, or risk falling behind, but it also keeps the subscription fees necessary to play the game flowing straight back to the developers. That particularly dark side of quests aside, these kinds of motivations could easily be harnessed in the workplace. The concept of sales goals have already existed and are pretty prevalent through more or less all retail jobs. But typically these so-called goals aren't so much goals as they are requirements. If your goals as a salesperson could be presented as a sort of quest, with specific objectives and potential rewards that are made clear to you, wouldn't day-to-day work be a lot more bearable? Advancement in a company or even a field could seem as attainable as just a few big quests away. Maybe that makes it sound a little like being led around by a carrot on a stick, but wouldn't a little clarity make the daily grind easier? Feeling like your work is meaningful, or at the very least is getting you somewhere, is a lot more bearable than just grinding away for a paycheck. Another huge concept in game design these days is that of the level. A level is just a number. Really, that's it. You start at level 1, you do some stuff, you get to level 2, congratulations. You do some more stuff, maybe earn some sort of points or complete some kind of goal. Suddenly, level 3. Typically the game presents some sort of object for you to level up, whether that's a character or a farm or a city or anything else. The level itself is usually just an arbitrary name or number or label of some kind, but the specifics are meaningless to most players. At its most primal, a level or leveling or whatever else is just a way for a player to feel like they're getting somewhere. That feeling of progression, especially in games that are meant to keep you playing for as long as possible, for example, mobile games trying to get you to cave and buy things with real money, is quite literally the name of the game. But couldn't these level systems be put to more practical use? If you look up leveling or level up or something similar on YouTube, you'll immediately be assaulted with guides for all sorts of games as to how best level up as fast as possible. Everything is about efficiency and speed, getting as much done as possible, as quickly as it can possibly be done. And yet, somehow, while people grind out these levels, usually in monotonous or at least repetitive ways, they aren't bored. A player motivated to level up will do anything, no matter how boring, to do it the fastest possible. What if this concept was applied to the workplace? No one's going to deny that the work can be tedious. Even if you have a job you love, it's likely that you aren't going to be incredibly motivated at all times. A common complaint in the workplace is the feeling that nothing you do matters. Day after day, you go through similar actions as if stuck in a loop. However, what if everything you did at a job contributed to some sort of personal level? There would always be some sort of sense of progression. Even if you didn't want to do something, there's an obvious reward, whether it be a new level gained or some kind of points towards the next one. Even further than this, such a system could allow a company to change or emphasize certain work or policies. Say there's a company policy that's really annoying for the individual to follow, but necessary on a larger scale. How many times have you cut corners on something similar on a bad day? Tasks like this could be made worth many more level up points than normal work, thus making something annoying worth it to someone who might have just written it off. Level systems also bring in a natural sort of competition. You may not care about your level alone, but if a group of your friends and peers are all advancing along and gaining whatever benefits come with higher levels, are you just going to sit there, or are you going to try to outdo everyone else? This way, employees are naturally encouraged to work harder and more efficiently, without any kind of management or oversight. Not only that, but levels also contribute a sense of achievement and prestige. Although the levels themselves are pretty arbitrary, they very clearly display both to yourself and to others the work and effort you've put in. Overall, while this was just a short look into the real-life application of game design, even what was discussed here could radically alter the environment of a workplace. From quests and their objectives to leveling systems and their inherently motivational factors, the different ways of implementing these concepts in real life could be very worthwhile.